Hello. In this video, we'll pick up right where we left off with blend modes, and we'll look at one more feature that we can use in the blend mode settings in PIXLR E. So I've used blend modes to create this image of these three blended layers. We have a grassy layer, which is this one here, which I'm hiding and revealing. We have the deer head layer, and we have the forest layer. And while I think it looks interesting, I think it would look nicer if the image didn't have all this extra stuff on the side, if it was just the space where the deer head is, and it had the texture of the grass in the forest within the deer head. So let's look at how we can do that with um, blend modes. Now there's a setting in blend mode, which if you go to your blend mode by clicking on the menu in your layer, and you select blend modes and you go to mask, it will mask out the layers below to the layer that you've selected. So what mask means is it only shows the layers below where the layer that you selected is. So in this case, we only see the forest. I'm going to go ahead and hide the grass layer. We only see the forest where the deer head is. So if I turn that off, if we go back to multiply where we were, you'll see that the deer head interacts with the forest layer differently, but everything is visible. If I click mask, only the forest is only visible where the deer head is. The downside is I can't set any of my other blend modes if I have it set to mask. So how do I get it to be only showing where the deer head is and having that interesting effect of the two layers blending their colors and shading and tonalities together? So here's one way to do it. We had multiply set before. I think I'm going to change that. Maybe let's try overlay. Yeah, like that. You see a little bit more of the forest, but it's still shifting. And of course, you can select any of these that you want. And something to keep in mind, I'm going to take a step back here, is that when you change blend modes, it changes how the layers interact, how that layer that you're changing the blend mode on interacts with the layers below it. For example, right now, if I select the grass layer and do none, the grass layer is not affected by the blend mode that I set in the deer because it's below it. The deer is below the grass layer, so the grass layer is just blocking out the deer, even though this is set to overlay. But if I move this down here, well, you can kind of see that the deer affects it, but because it's white, it doesn't have a lot of impact. And if I were to move it down here, it does have an impact because it's set to both this blend mode and this blend mode. All right, let's pop it back up there, and we'll just hide that for now. Or actually, I'm going to pop it down here. Let's pop it down there. And we'll change this blend mode. Let's try darken. There we go. Okay. And I'll move this layer so that those, oops, wrong layer. I'll move this layer so that okay. Come on, you can do it, PIXLR. I'll move. I'm just going to leave the layers where they are. Why is it doing that? Ah, there we go. Okay, so the reason I was doing that is I'm in my move tool. I select the grass layer, I try to move it, and it keeps moving the forest layer. It's because the setting in my tool options for my move tool, if I go to the settings all the way on the left, it says auto select layer. So I'm going to turn that off. So now if I click on the grass layer, that's the layer it's going to move. It's not going to auto select a different layer. Okay, so I want that texture up where the the deer is. And I've moved it up. I'll move it up a little bit more. Okay, so I've got my blend mode set. I like the effect happening where the deer head is. And I want to mask it now. So the way to do that is to copy the deer layer. So click on the little menu here, and if you go down here, it'll say duplicate layer or duplicate layer. And you want to click on that, and you now have two deer head layers. And if you go to the top one and select your blend mode to mask, it will now clip it out. Everything below it will be masked or clipped out to only where that deer head is. And then this deer head is working on the way that the layers actually blend. And I think that gives a really cool effect. You can then go ahead and continue to play with these blend modes and see what works best. That might look a little nicer, a little more definition on the deer head. And that's a really nice feature, that mask feature, which takes everything and limits it to the image that's in that layer, the image space, the pixels that are in that layer. So have fun with that. Try that with some different images and see what you can conjure up. Blend modes are, I think, are really nice settings to play with because they're quick, they're easy to use, and they can create really dramatic effects depending on how you stack and which blend modes you choose and which colors and tones are in your layers. Enjoy that, have fun, and I look forward to seeing your images. I'll see you in the next video.